We are recording, so I want to do a quick little bit video of Windows 11 and Oculus Quest 2. This one should be the same, I'm guessing, for Oculus Quest. The first one might be applicable to other, like the Rift S, but I'm not certain. But it should be for at least for the Quest 2 and probably Quest 1. Windows 11 is still in beta, so obviously what I'm telling here isn't Oculus or isn't their fault, anything like that. So and mainly it's about using Airlink and Link. I'm gonna tell you my little bit of experience. And that's part of why I haven't done a lot of videos, because I've had problems using link cable and using Airlink and the Quest 2 and the performance, and I narrowed it down to being Windows 11. So the problem was that I was in my Oculus Quest 2 and everything felt nice and smooth. I played Return to Castle Wolfenstein through side quest, and then I tried virtual desktop, and I tried not to stream app but to display my computer and to be able to play regular computer games, with the Quest 2 just as a big screen. So I haven't tried virtual desktop to stream VR games from my PC to the Quest 2. I only used Link and Airlink for that. So maybe virtual desktop and Windows 11 can circumvent these problems that I've had. But I noticed that when I was using Link or Airlink, that the gameplay wasn't smooth, and it shouldn't have been that way, because just like being in the desktop and while using virtual desktop and the Steam version, just browsing, as you can see on screen, just browsing, it felt really choppy and weird. And that's when I started using this, the Oculus Debug tool. You can find this within your installation folder of your Oculus software on your PC. Don't remember exactly what place it is in, but normally it is under your C drive, program files, Oculus, and then like software, something like that, and Debug maybe, or well, you can find it somewhere in there, or you can Google it, so easier find where you can locate it. C program files Oculus support Oculus diagnostic. There you call Oculus debug tool.exe. That's where you can find it. There you go. And within this problem, you should be careful when experience or changes options, because it can make your experience worse. But down here you have visible HUD. I changed that to performance. And in the headset, then you will get a nice little graph, as you can hopefully kind of see here on screen, and it will tell you your latency, input delays and stuff like that, something like that. I was getting around 35, maybe up to 40, so pretty decent. I have the same actually using Link and Airlink, so I'm guessing my Airlink is pretty optimized in that way. And then you can see performance headroom, meaning how much you have until there's going to be problems. Your computer isn't going to be able to handle to smoothly display, the game or application in the instance of virtual desktop. And under there is the interesting thing. You have application frames dropped, and to my limited knowledge, that means that application is how much like Virtual Desktop, Beat Saber, Population 1, how much of frames they are dropping. You know, if they are targeting 90 or 120, it should be 120. And if the, you know, if that like game or application can't do that, maybe 119, 117, then application frames dropped will start going up, meaning that, you know, you probably need to turn down your settings of the game or something like that to make it stop dropping, or change the resolution, something there. And under there you have the compositor frames dropped. And to my, again, limited knowledge, that is more like the software of the Oculus and the encoding of the, you know, it takes the picture, then it encodes it, it sends it to your, from your PC to your Quest 2, where the Quest 2 then will decode it and show it. And obviously that is, I don't know exactly how that, you know, that should be a high priority, so it shouldn't happen. But you shouldn't want to drop that one. Again, it could be that your PC just isn't powerful enough. You have not a good enough graphics card, or, you know, something that's so that it can't encode your frames good enough. It can also be that you are pushing the game too much. You know, the application frame might not be dropping, but that is the game you are playing are using all your computer resources, so there's nothing left. So then by turning down settings within the game could actually help the compositor frames dropped. But they should still be pretty much like, it can occasionally drop, and that isn't anything major, but if it is constantly dropping, you will get terrible stuttering. And that was what I noticed that I had, and it was very weird. So I could hook up, it doesn't matter if it's link or A-link, I could hook it up and, you know, activate this performance HUD, and it looks fine. I could open the desktop view within, you know, the Oculus with the link settings there, and view my desktop. I could browse, everything was fine, but I preferred virtual desktop for browsing, watching movies, playing 2D games. So as soon as I opened virtual desktop, I started dropping application frames, and compositor frames dropped. It was constantly, like, the knob just kept going up rapidly. It was real weird. So I started doing some research. Again, I'm in Windows 11, so, you know, bugs can happen, but everything else on my computer is just running perfectly fine. No performance change, no weird things with hiccup with games or recording or streaming, nothing. Only the Quest and the link here. So, and I came across that one person said that if you use this Oculus Debug tool, and under the service menu, if you activate toggle console visibility, which will bring up like a command prompt window, and it will show, you know, what it will pretty much show what the Oculus service is doing in the background. It's, you know, it's only useful for developers or that or you know, debugging stuff. You know, for normal usage, you don't want it open. It's just in the way. But toggling that for some people helped. I would think that was really weird, but I'm gonna try it anyway. And I did try it. I activated it and started virtual desktop and everything, and it worked. It was so weird. I had no application frames dropped. I had no compositor frames dropped. And this really started kind of like spike some kind of interest and ideas of why this might be happening. But I kept trying to, you know, wanna tinker a little bit before I, you know, come to some kind of conclusion. So I did minimize. I didn't toggle it off, but I did minimize these console windows, this command prompt window, and compositor frame started dropping again. And now I had the virtual desktop, the settings window open. I minimized that. I didn't turn the virtual desktop off. I just minimized the settings window. Application frames started dropping constantly again. So I unminimized the applications window settings for virtual desktop, and the application frames drop stopped. Now, this is really weird. And again, I did unminimize, the console window. So it's up there, command prompt visible, and the compositor frames started dropping. Okay, this is really, really so weird, but okay. So I need to have those open. Everything's fine. I can deal with that. So I did open a web browser, which you can see here, and I did this. I maximized it. And again, the overlay that is visible here in my Quest 2 now, it started dropping frames again. I was like, what the hell is going on? So I clicked, down in the taskbar on like the virtual desktop settings windows to make it appear on top of the web browser, and it was the same behavior. The application frame drop stopped, and I did the same for for that one. I made that be visible over my web browser, and the composite frames stopped again, and I'm like, what the hell? And then I clicked that, and it started dropping rapidly. So I'm starting to be really confused at what's going on. So what I did was I took the window down, did it to 50%, and I had no stuttering, no drop frames again. That was really, really, really weird here now. What I then did was I took this here, and everything was fine. It's covering everything but just like 1 pixel to the left here of the desktop. And you can see this one, it isn't maximized here. And everything was fine. I could watch Twitch, YouTube, scroll, browse, no drop frames, it was smooth. And then I did, and it started dropping. And this kind of led to an idea in my head that Windows 11, I read on a Swedish, like computer site and forum, that Windows 11 has a new scheduler that prioritizes app and stuff different. And one way they showed it was that they had like I think it was encoding or Blender or something 3D, and something was intensely running, and then they started opening app, and the apps just popped up really nice and quickly. And they also showed this that they have longer battery lives because the foreground, like the application that like are in the main focus being used most, are getting like more resource, and the other ones are getting a little bit of not as high priority and stuff. And also they show that they were spreading all the threads out more evenly over your CPU's cores. And to me, that probably is something that has to do with this, that when it is like this, the web browser is taking the resources, and the Oculus service is being down prioritized. It shouldn't, but it's probably that what is happening. And the same for the for the virtual desktop application, it isn't in the foreground. So Windows is thinking, this doesn't need all my resources, I can prioritize down, maybe save a little bit of resource from your computer, and your experience will be fine. Hopefully this can be maybe done through the Oculus. They update the driver. They might just be that, or it might be that Microsoft needs to tweak the scheduler. I highly doubt that this is something that virtual desktop can fix, because I did, I had virtual desktop and everything running with the the console and the settings up, and then I started a game, a 2D game, not a VR game. It was Ghost Runner. It's pretty heavy, and it was it's in a full screen ballless window, and it started stuttering. Then I alt tabbed, and I back and forth to like get like the windows of the desktop on top, and then the console window, and then like the game. And suddenly doing this, everything just fixed itself, and I could play 10 minutes, and it was just super smooth. And Ghost Runner is taxing my RTX 3070 and my AMD Ryzen 5600 in a good way, around 80-90%, and sometimes it goes higher. So, but somehow the scheduler, in Windows 10 kicked in and worked as it should. It gave the game the proper priority, and it gave the Oculus server proper priority, and the virtual desktop the proper priority, so it just was smooth. So nice, no stuttering. But, before that, when I had this application composite frames, it was constantly so bad. And what is even more funny is that the performance headroom, it was showing good numbers. It was no problem with that. The dropping of frames was no matter the headroom, my performance headroom, because just by starting virtual desktop, I could see before I toggled the console window visibility, I could see that my performance headroom was 97%, and that correlates with that what the desktop said that it used my computer resources to 3%. So it was a nice correlation, but it was still dropping frames and stuttering and being bad. So the performance headroom was nice, but the performance the visible performance in the headset was terrible. So my conclusion definitely is that this has to do with the Windows scheduler, or that the Oculus driver needs to be updated to fix this. This is a beta. It is supposed to be start rolling out Windows 11 in like the main version, if you could call it, the return to manufacture version, in early October, and hopefully Oculus will then start, fixing this, or if Oculus can't fix this, hopefully they will contact Microsoft, and then will work together. It could have to do with, the Nvidia drivers, could have to do with the AMD Ryzen drivers, the chips that drive something like that. We don't know. But I wanted to make this video to be aware that if you are using a Quest 2 and you like to use Link or A-Link, you should stay probably a little bit longer on the Windows 10, because what I did was I installed Windows 10 alongside. I have Windows 11 and then I have Windows 10 on another drive, and I set them up pretty the same way with the settings in the Nvidia driver, and the same settings in the performance the power scheme, the Windows power scheme. They both were in the high performance mode there and everything. And the Steam, I ran the same version. I installed Steam or the desktop, the same version there. Used the same setting in the Oculus Debug tool here, the same settings. And in Windows 10 there was no problems. And this, I've talked about virtual desktop here and Steam, and watching movies and playing 2D games, but it is the exact same, because I tried this in Beat Saber. You have Angry Birds, have Population 1, and like different VR games. They have the same things, but toggling console visibility can help. Also, if the game is, it's all. Most of the time, the games that you play, VR games, they display like a window or something on your PC. Try to make sure that isn't a full screen window, and that you have the console window open. That could make it work, because I tried that with Population 1. First, I just loaded it up. It was terrible performance, the stuttering. Like it said that I was running 120, 115, 110 frames and everything, but blah blah blah. But it was just terrible. So I closed Population 1. I toggled the console visibility again. I ran Population 1 again, and everything was just, all the graphs in the headset and the feel of the game was just super stable, super smooth, perfect. So if you're just, if you already are on Windows 11, you are experiencing some weird problem, you could try to toggle console windows visibility, console window visibility, and if it's still having performance problems, try to make sure that the mirroring of the game, VR game, on your PC isn't full screen. If possible, make it often you can press Alt plus Enter to make the game go from full screen to just a windowed one. That could help the scheduler being, prioritizing both the game and then the console window getting the proper priority that it needs for everything to work. So try that if you already are on Windows 11, because that can be working. But if you are thinking about upgrading, haven't done it, try to hold off a little bit if you can. There is definitely something that needs to be tweaking when it comes to the Quest 2 and Windows 11 compatibility. There is one thing that I'm going to try after this one. I'm going to try to see if that makes a difference. Shouldn't, but it might. That is what I'm going to try. But yeah, I just wanted to do this video to point this one out. Maybe it can help someone before, if you are having problems, or it might make you, someone, yo, wait a little bit, don't jump on Windows 11 if using your Quest with Link or AirLink is something that you find is important. Just hold off a little bit. We are closing in on October, and I'm sure that the Oculus team is going to find this, just like I have done and others have discovered, and it probably will in one way or another be fixed no matter what it is. So yeah, just quickly wanted to point that one out, do this video, make you aware of this. So yeah, hold up with upgrading, or if you can dual boot, I can recommend you to dual boot for PCVR stuff. Windows 10, I have zero problems like this. Nothing. It just works perfectly fine. So it's just Windows 11. Yeah, that's it for this video, and that is also why I haven't made a lot of videos, because I wanted to get Link video out and do that and make that happen, which unfortunately, there we go, which unfortunately, have been very problematic. Everything when it comes to using your PC VR, that's weird. Your Quest as a PC VR headset, it is very, very, very interesting. So it's so much problems. It's very great when it's working, but there's a lot of problems and steps to troubleshoot, and Windows 11 obviously has caused a lot of more problems. I'm just trying here to tweak my microphone here. I see that the levels are a little bit on the high side here. So yeah, but that's it for this video. Hope you find this useful in some kind of way, and hopefully this will be fixed as soon as possible, and hopefully I can get a nice Link video up where I try something out on this channel pretty soon, since I now know what was causing my performance issues. So stay tuned for that. Some kind of hopefully Link cable, VR testing video in the future. I think that is the closest thing that will be coming. So stay tuned for that.